Morning, everyone, and welcome to the Ball Agenda Reveal Show. My name is Solstice Fayams, and I'm joined on my right-hand side by Mr. Mekawani. How are you doing today, sir?
Good. Ready to go. Good
And
games
on my
today.
left-hand side, oh, sorry, I thought you were still saying
Nah,
something.
it's all good. There's just some good games in Champions League. I'm ready to chop it up.
And on my left-hand side, low energy today from him, but Mr. Chinedu Asinogo. How are you doing today, sir?
Chilling, ready to get into the games.
Thank you so much, guys, for blessing us with your expertise this afternoon, your many years of experience analyzing the game. We appreciate you. So we're going to start from the Premier League. This weekend had a lot of great results. There were lots of opportunities for people to move into the top four. People didn't take those opportunities. And we'll start with the 12:30 kickoff, which has seemed to continuously prove difficult for Thomas Tuchel. Chelsea taking on West Brom. What did we make of that game? Chinedu.
Well, I think they went into the game very strong and I think confident in the way they've been playing recently. But everything kind of went to the ashes when when Thiago Silva got sent off and they just lost their heads. And West Brom, the finishing on the day, fantastic. Robinson keeps on showing them Pepe and Marcelo Pereira was absolutely fantastic on the day. I love the way he plays. And I think people would always talk about, Sam staying up or Big Sam staying up. And I think that's just one of those things that they're going to be happy with that result and they're going to move on. They're still going to go down anyway. So good for them, good for West Brom, and fall from Chelsea on the day.
Also add Mateus Pereira as a trendsetter. I've seen so many players over the last week or so using his. I saw Lukaku using it. I also saw another player. I think Memphis Depay.
That is Memphis' celebration, by the way.
He's a trendsetter.
Yeah, and the Lukaku one that you were referring to, he actually did that last season. That was last season.
Yeah, that's Memphis'
just going for
trademark.
time now.
No, that's Memphis' trademark.
Who doesn't do that?
Yeah, no, Memphis has shirts and everything. I follow Memphis. Don't try that.
I love Pereira though. Like he's carrying this team and his 2 goals, 2 assists
to relegation.
Well, who knows? That'll make them believe because I thought Fulham were pulling away, but Fulham still have they're still playing well, but they're still unable to add those extra points. Newcastle probably are getting a new lease of life, and Callum Wilson coming back means they might be able to do something. But the teams ahead of them aren't that far ahead of them, and I think they have. I'll check on exactly what their next 2 fixtures are, but I think they have some good fixtures coming up. But Emeka, what do you make of the game?
Yeah, for me it was just the way West Brom played. I was very surprised. I think them losing the defender and they brought on Robinson when after Chelsea got Van down. And yeah, they went for it. They played some incredible combination play. Some of the goals they scored were absolutely top class. And I was very surprised and impressed by the way they actually took the game to Chelsea, even though obviously they had 10 men. So I was very impressed with that. With as well as for Chelsea, yeah, just one of those days, like I said, early kickoff after international break, all their players been all around the world, and I'll give them a slight pass for that. But I just thought Tuchel made some very weird substitutions after Thiago Silva left. He made some weird substitutions. He went to a back forward and put Reece James as a right midfielder. It was just really weird. But I think it's just one of those games, and I won't go too crazy about it. He's done really well for them so far. It's just one of those days. But I was very impressed. My take is I was very impressed with West Brom and how they took the game to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah, I think I'd even say Chelsea was still in control until even after the red card, because they're still making lots of chances. It was a very open end-to-end game. I just thought on the day West Brom just had their finishing boots on. Callum Robinson, like you said.
Oh, they want to play as well.
Yeah, I was like, what's going on here?
No, there's something. You said you hit the nail on the head when you said they had their finishing boots on. Absolutely crazy finishes, and like Emeka said, their link-up play as well. They were just filling in. And I think they proved why like the Premier League is one of the best leagues, right? Is a team like West Brom still has those little patterns of play at times, and they can still produce quality when it comes down to it.
Some drop points elsewhere in the race for top 4. Tottenham Hotspur.
Not us though.
Unable to. Oh, you're in the race for top 4. You're not in the race for top 4. Tottenham Hotspur unable to move into the top 4. away to Newcastle, a game they should always win and could have. But also Newcastle showing some signs of life without St. Maximan coming on, bringing that spark, but without their main man for goals. Still, Steve Bruce finding a way to make light out of the situation that he has. So, Emeka, what did you take from that game?
Same old Spurs, like this has been the trend of their season. We've said this before. They don't know how to control games. And my biggest take from the game was Davinson Sanchez. It was one of the worst defensive performances I've ever seen in my whole life. I'm telling you, it was awful. The whole time he was clearing the ball, he would hit his man, miskicking the ball. He was awful. Like he doesn't have a clue like what he's doing. Like he's just such a way. I don't know how Mourinho trusts him at times. I know he has the physical abilities and you can press a bit higher with him because like I said, he can run. But he has no game intelligence. He panics on the ball. It's just really, really like a team like Spurs should not be having a man like that. I will not be surprised if it's one of the first players shipped out next season. But again,
and I think even to quickly touch on that point, I think Mourinho is hamstrung by a lot of I definitely will admit, as one of the people that on paper says Spurs have a very, very strong squad. If you actually look at that squad is full of people that look good on paper, but their performances this season have just been very, very poor. And Mourinho doesn't really have that much to pick from. He keeps chopping and changing on the right with who's going to be his right back. Aurier wouldn't work, and there's attitude problems there. Doherty comes in, it's not working. Goes for Tanganga, who's probably a centre back. Then the centre back, you can't play Alderweireld all the time because of his hamstring issues, so you have to manage that. And then Diaz just consistently making mistakes, Reguilon injury, Davis injury. So at the back is just, and Lloris isn't even inspiring confidence in the back four. So that lack of, I think it's been underrated because everyone talks about Liverpool and how much Liverpool's form has been down to defensive woes, the centre-back pairings. But I think Tottenham have actually had a lot more defensive problems with personnel than Liverpool, and that just kind of gets swept under the rug a little bit. I think so.
Problems or injuries?
I was going to say.
Problems or injuries? Like Spurs, Reguilon, like you said, has been out. Yes, he had his injury problems, but a lot of Tottenham's issues have been more form than injuries. They've had injuries, of course.
I said problems. I didn't say
and
injuries.
That's nobody else. That's nobody's fault. That's the manager and the team's fault. If he knew that those guys at the start of the season when he was saying this squad is better than any squad, better than the United squad he managed, and better and stuff like that, and he was hyping the team and they were on a great run. I'm not hearing problems.
It's well documented that he tried to get in Skriniar because they knew that they needed a centre back.
That was a team he was very happy with, and he thought could win the league. So
he never said that. I know. When did he say that?
I'm not hearing problems.
When did he say?
I think he did say that.
He said that. Of course, he said they were going to challenge for the league.
Yes,
they
always asked him. This is the problem with people just making up their own news. They always asked him, and he said they're big horses in the race, and we're just a little pony. He
said they started well, and they were going to see how it went, kind of thing. Like they're going for it, not like
no. Come on, if you shall show me any place where he said that, I would love to see it. He never said that. I read and watched every interview.
What Emeka said about the squad he's managing now being better than the United squad.
Yes, he did.
So, exactly. So
now, what happened to that?
That's why I said everyone on paper thought the squad was better. Like, I thought so as well.
So sadly, and what Emeka is saying as well is that
you can see them on the training ground.
Yeah, we cannot come and
he said that before he had a session with them. He said that in his first interview.
Then that was dumb.
That's fine.
I was dumb too.
He's the architect of his own issues at this point. If he's coming out to say something like that and then turns around and he's actually capped, you get what I'm saying? No one's fault. Whereas Liverpool, they are actually victims of injuries and all those things. So I don't think those are the same issues that they have.
Not even close.
At all. Yeah. It's comparing apples and oranges.
You think so? Okay. The point that I was making was Liverpool ended up playing their third and fourth choice centre backs, which is essentially what Tottenham have ended up doing, and are playing their third choice right back and have never been able to have.
Why?
I'm not saying this for the same reasons, but I'm saying the same lack of
No
consistency
one
at the
cares.
back.
No one
The
cares.
same
Like,
lack of consistency at the back is
no one
applicable.
cares, bro. It's just like saying you drop your best players because they're out of form, and you say, oh, they are getting bad results because they're playing their worst players. It's like no one cares. Those are your players. Those are your best players. Players you signed. You signed Doherty for a decent amount of money, and you're telling me that because he's playing Tanganga is comparable to Liverpool. Like that's not an excuse.
Fair. Point taken. The other matches that were relevant for the fourth place, the race for fourth place, West Ham, Wolves. What did we take from that, Chinedu?
Lingardino.
That's it.
What I took was Lingardino, bro.
Emeka, what did you take?
Oh, it's all about West Ham for me as a team, even without Declan Rice. Just I can't believe they're still in this position, 30 games in, legitimately fourth place, and they're actually genuinely going for it. And they've got a system that works perfectly for them. And obviously Lingard has been the spark. And I hope we're going to rinse them because they've been quoting they said Bank of England to get Declan Rice. So they're going to need Bank of England to get Lingard from us as well. But yeah, just I'm so happy for David Moyes. Obviously, the amount of stake he got from the English press, from English football fans, Manchester United fans. He's doing an incredible job. And Wolves away, obviously, is not as tough as last year, but it's still a difficult game to win. And he's just playing with a lot of confidence, playing some free-flowing football, like the Lingard goal, even before the Maisie run, the link-up play from Stufal to Fornals, the back heel from Fornals. So they're playing some great stuff without their best player as well. So all the power to them. I hope they do it. I hope they make it in the end.
Yeah. To add to that, I think you hit a very good point, which is confidence. Born that confidence, bro. Like if you watch, and when I came, I said Lingardino jokingly, obviously. Lingard looks a whole new man from what he looked a year ago. And that's because of the confidence he's playing with. And I think he's inspiring the rest of the team to play with a lot more confidence as well in their ability and how they set up the play.
And who is the best player that you're referencing?
Declan Rice. So he got like a lateral knee.
Yeah,
injury.
you think he's the best player?
I know. I think definitely overall he's their best player. But obviously Lingard is an argument with Lingard.
More than Antonio?
I think yeah, definitely. Declan Rice. If anybody was going to pick, who do you think is going to be the most sought after West Ham?
I think Declan Rice is better than Stuchek.
Declan Rice is West Ham's, like he's their captain, he's their best player. Like I think if anybody was going to pick out, do you think if Arsenal or Chelsea or Man City
for age reasons I can understand, but in terms of
age reasons, like I definitely think Declan Rice is their most valuable player, their most important player in terms of balance as well. But Antonio, Lingard, and Declan Rice are the top three. I think that's pretty clear. But I think Declan Rice is definitely their best player. But Antonio, of course, is a close second or third if you want to go that way. But that's mine.
My takeaway from what you said and also watching it was you're right. The Wolves away game is not what it was before. Wolves conceded 3 goals in the first half, just not having that. I think missing, from what I watched, bringing on people like Vitinha wasn't really quite working. Neves didn't really particularly have a great game. On the left-hand side, they don't look as potent going forward. And just their defensive balance isn't there. And I think Rui Patricio also isn't as good a goalie as he was in recent years. And watching the game, I also saw that one thing that we've forgotten to talk about over time is how Wolves actually lost their 2 best players and have had to just figure out solutions offensively this year. And I think that's been really important. And I think it's somewhat credit to Nuno Espirito for finding a way to make that work, because you can't really think of teams that could lose their 2 best attackers and still be doing reasonably well or just finding a way to make it work in the league.
I mean, they've made some good signings along the way as well.
I mean, they definitely have, but losing Jota, we've seen what he's done at Liverpool. Jimenez, their entire system revolved around Jimenez. The type of goal that they scored with Dendonka, that was bread and butter, the way they used to play against other teams when they had Jimenez last season. And they don't just quite have that aerial threat anymore, that hold-up play to bring some of their more technical, because they have a very, very technical midfield and attack, but bring those players into the game. And what I know is a solution that is starting to work better, but for majority of the season until now, I don't quite think they've plugged that hole completely.
Yeah, he's not up to par.
Yeah,
He's not up to par.
100%. I mean, compared to what Jimenez had to offer, I
Yeah.
definitely think Willian Jose is like a short-term replacement. Fabio Silva was as well. But I also think, I mean, I've watched games where they've dropped their midfield core of João Moutinho, and then or they take out Ruben Neves at times. And so essentially what I'm trying to say is I think Nuno, because of Jimenez being out, has had to figure out not just the attacking side of things, but also the core midfield as well.
Yeah.
And so credit to him for being where they are.
Yeah, I totally agree. Everton, Crystal Palace. What do we take from that, Emeka?
It's typical Everton. So many missed chances. Calvert-Lewin had in my FPL he could have had a hat trick. Richarlison was so wasteful. So it's just typical Everton. Like there's something missing. I don't know. You can tell they're well coached for the most part, and offensively they create a lot of chances, but especially their home form as well. It's just such
their home
weird,
form. It's tragic.
It's so the team just seems a bit like unbalanced at times as well with like James, and I don't know. There's just something missing. So I think they're definitely going to fall short in terms of that Champions League race. Palace held on and they managed to nick one, and then Everton was so wasteful. They could have had 4 or 5 easily. So I think for them, with they had 2 games in hand. They have 1 game in hand now. That was a good chance for them to catch up because everyone else slipped up. But that was a very, very big miss on their part.
And Liverpool versus Arsenal, what do you take from that one? Actually, the question I have also is when we look at David Moyes and Arteta being appointed at pretty much the same period. I think Moyes was maybe a month before. Coming in, Arteta taking over a 5th place side, David Moyes taking over a 17th place side that was pretty much certainly going to get relegated. And the work that they've done over the last year and a half or a year and a bit, and West Ham being where they are in 4th place, genuine Champions League spot contenders after 30 games, and Arsenal 10 points behind them in 10th place, and looking like this. I mean, the season is already a write-off. It's not looking like the season is done, and it doesn't look like there's anything promising about this so-called project and rebuild that's going on. What do we say putting those two things side by side, and also in the lens of the Liverpool-Arsenal game this last weekend?
I would say I think the FA Cup that Arteta won, obviously great for Arsenal fans and Arsenal themselves, but I think it might be almost like a curse for them because they're seeing things in such a different lens to what I think other fans are seeing. Because I'm telling you, I don't get how Arteta is escaping much criticism. Compared, like you said, we mentioned Mourinho. Mourinho is trying to put top 4 in a cup final. Obviously, he had some really bad results, but it's different. Solskjaer came 3rd last year, 2nd this year, got to 4 semi-finals again. He didn't win anything, but he's trash. Arteta, he also had 10th place, same points as Leeds United after 30 games, and you have players like Aubameyang, you have Lacazette, you have Saka, you've gotten Odegaard now, you have Thomas Partey, you bought him Gabriel for big money, Leno, all these. I don't know how he's escaping this criticism. And the game against Liverpool was just absolutely pathetic. It was an embarrassment, and if I was an Arsenal fan, I would not take that lightly at all. It was an absolute embarrassment. Tactically, I thought they didn't have much. There was no personality, no effort. They just waited for Liverpool, who are out of form, to just completely dominate the game. Aubameyang, the captain, or Travis, the new Travis Scott, whatever you want to call it.
He's working on his new capsule.
Oh man, honestly, I don't know. I honestly don't know what's going on there. And Arteta is just he's cooling. He's cooling.
It's called fine boy vibes now.
His job doesn't seem to be under threat at all.
Which manager?
It's called fine boy vibes now.
Fine boy, because he has some nice jet black gelled hair. I don't honestly Pep disciple, but honestly, I don't get it. And he's still getting linked to Barcelona jobs. It's crazy. I don't know. I don't know what jazz he's using.
I think it's because you hear people I think Kieran Tierney come out and say, "Oh, Arteta is such a genius," and blah blah blah. I think it's a virtue of how he speaks because he has that Pep. Pep can walk up here and say nothing but you.
Yeah, maybe
your head. He has said the most genius thing ever. And I think he also bought himself some time winning that FA Cup that he did.
If you
and so I think
it's hard to say take away the FA Cup, but if you take away the FA Cup and just look at his form in the league, remember last year they went out in the round of 32 to Olympiacos, having won the first leg away from home 1-0. It's literally not just the league. His form outside of the FA Cup, even the FA Cup this season, and hopefully if he wins the Europa League, that's probably going to be the worst thing for Arsenal fans because he's going to get a lot more time, and Arsenal going to go to Champions League and are going to think there's something going, maybe it allows them to get some more cash in and they can attract some more talent, which could be great. But this Arsenal team is not going to do anything in the Champions League.
I think that's even what's bailing them out sometimes is the talent on their team, because I think if they didn't have this talent, they wouldn't even be. Because right now it's a consistency thing, but at many games you walk in and most Smith Rowe is having the game of his life and they win the game, right? So what's helping them right now is just that their talented group of players sometimes show up. The system is poor. The system is horrible. And it's just not sustainable.
It's weird to me. Like, I'm not saying I don't think he's a trash manager or anything. I just don't understand the way he's so highly regarded. Like,
there's nothing to suggest.
There's nothing like,
he's not
exactly.
He's going to turn it around. There's nothing like with Emery. Emery has won a ton of things. You could say, okay, if we give him more time, this guy has been managing for a while. He knows how to manage players. He knows how to manage teams. Arteta, this is the first thing on Arteta's CV. Yeah. With someone like Allegri, if it's going bad for Allegri, this guy has won Serie A so many times. He has experience doing it over 38 game seasons. What can you say for Arteta to justify giving him more time?
Exactly, because
beyond just blind faith.
Winning a cup is like again not to
like caretaker managers win cups.
Exactly, like Martinez won the FA Cup with Wigan and got relegated. Van Gaal won the FA Cup with United, got sacked that same day. So like using that like just as your whole opinion on Arteta, like
Di Matteo,
exactly, he won the Champions League as a caretaker. So it's like using that as your basis alone when you can see the consistent league struggles. Like you said, when he came in, struggled. He got his team this year, they're 10th place. So I'm not saying he should be sacked or whatever. I'm not saying he's a terrible manager. I think he's a good manager actually, but I just don't understand.
Maybe
what makes you think he's a good manager?
Because there's sometimes I do watch Arsenal, so maybe they don't necessarily play the best football or whatnot, but there's sometimes I see like the actual effects of his coaching. So you can actually see like a lot of the patterns, like so especially when you see like Tierney and Saka, like especially on that left hand side, Tierney and Aubameyang rather on that left hand side. There are a lot of times. I remember when he came to Old Trafford as well. Like you can see patterns in what he's trying to do at times, but a lot of times you can also tell that they struggle to actually create chances because it's very, very kind of sterile possession at times. But there are times where I can see like I can see what he's trying to do, and I always preach that I think every manager deserves at least 18 months to 2 years. So I'm not going to change on that. I've always said that we won't Ole. So I think he deserves another season. But just this one, I'm still seeing him linked to Barcelona. I'm hearing Arsenal fans still telling me that,
at the end of this season, that'll pretty much be 18 months.
So I don't know, man. And it's just a kind of strange situation that I still getting the media.
Honestly, I just thought about it and we might be overthinking it because I think the Arsenal board is fine with where they are. I mean, like you can talk about like expectations, right? We expect Arsenal to be competing in the highest level. We expect Arsenal to be top 4. But I mean, it seems like they're content with just kind of writing it out on team right that fix them, and they're willing to forego these few years of being crap, it seems. But like as far as because you can look at like a team like Chelsea, this would not slide, this would not be sliding, right? And that's their model. That's how Abramovich has chosen to own that team and to run things there. The board seems fine, and I think we don't have to overthink it. If they are cool with being done, good for them.
Let's switch gears very quickly to the race in Spain and what we saw this week. What did we think about Madrid's results, Barcelona's results, and Atletico Madrid's results?
Yeah, the Atletico fan. Let's hear from you first.
I mean, this is what I feared was going to happen. And back to what I said, I really think if you look at Simeone's track record over the last few years, there's the 2018 Super Cup as a result of winning the 2018 Europa League that was only won because they crashed out of the Champions League. So they should have had no business even being in the Europa League. And before that, the previous title was in 2014, and that was the cup competition in Spain. So over the last, what is that, like 7 years, there hasn't really been that much success in terms of trophies with the system and style. And this season being the best season possible that you'll ever get to win La Liga with Madrid. I don't even know if it's a rebuild, but the team just doesn't look that good. And Barcelona, that is clearly in a rebuild. If you can't win the title this season when all you have to focus on is the league, then I think serious questions need to be asked about Diego Simeone. And I was very disappointed. Obviously thought there were some calls that could have gone the other way in the game. And also the red card in Barcelona's game was absolutely not a red card. But you can always pick on those things. But I think running out of steam at this stage with nothing else to focus on is very worrying. And now the end to the season just looks a lot more complicated than it ever should have been. But I remember Emeka kind of said it would go down to the wire a long time ago. I also did think it would go down to the wire, but it seems like they're about to run out of steam, which is very disappointing.
Yeah, I think they've blown it. I think they've blown it now. Madrid and Barcelona, you can tell even from the Champions League, Real Madrid Champions League before. And Barcelona, even how they played against PSG in the second leg, you can tell like those guys they are weak.
Madrid is definitely experiencing a resurgence.
Yeah,
definitely.
You can tell they're awake. I think Atletico have blown it.
Quick take there, Chinedu.
No, I was just going to say, I think Madrid, they're definitely experiencing like a very, very interesting resurgence. At first, they looked like they were, like Emeka just said, they're awake now. They look like they were very much asleep. But then Zidane comes in, puts Asensio in, most times playing support striker. Benzema enjoying the best season of his, surprisingly, best season of his career so far in Madrid. So I think they are definitely, for me, and it may be biased, but I think Madrid, based on even Champions League form and just their confidence now, they're going to go ahead and win. So Atleti really had the chance. They've built, and everyone has watched them blow it. That's what's funny. I feel like everyone has been saying, you're going to bottle this, you're going to bottle this, don't bottle this, and now they bottled it. And like you said, questions have to be asked about Diego Simeone, especially based on like how much he's earning, right? So
exactly, and the Champions League / European performance that we witnessed. Many questions need to be asked. That's just my quick take there. Over to the Champions League, switching gears a little bit. I know I said that for the last time, so I won't use that same.
You have to find every time switching gears. How many gears do we have?
We saw Man City take on Borussia Dortmund. What was that take from that game, Chinedu?
I think we gave our predictions, and it's pretty much personally what I predicted or what I thought would happen. Man City absolutely dominated the game. Dortmund actually fielded a few more youngsters than I expected them to, but they held their own for the most part. And I think Man City held on for the end of the game was way better than the rest of the game. But I think Man City dominated. They deserved to win. Dortmund looked like they might have snatched a point, and then Phil Foden had multiple chances and finally put one in the back of the net. Kudos to him for keeping a cool head at that time. But one person I'm going to highlight, Kevin De Bruyne, literally the best midfielder in the world. And I hate to say this, being a United fan, but
stop being a prisoner of the moment.
Okay.
So he's not.
I'm just saying, like, it's always so quick. Like, people do this so often. Someone scores 3 goals, they're the best striker in the world.
No, but I mean, but KDB has been universally like for at least for.
Yeah, but I'm saying, come on, we're a prisoner of the moment. KDB has been very poor this season. Very, very poor. Very, very poor.
I don't think he's been poor.
He's been very, very poor. KDB has in the Premier League, I think has 1 goal from open play, and I think 3 goals
if you watch the
overall
game,
or something.
you sound like you're talking based on FPL, bro. Chill.
I'm not talking based on FPL. I'm talking based on what I want my central attacking midfielder.
Yeah, exactly. You're literally talking like
that's what I'm talking about. So I'm watching these games and he's missing clear-cut opportunities. This is not an FPL conversation. This is saying that's why I had him in my FPL team. He's getting in those positions, and we saw what a good finisher does when they're in those positions with Gundogan's resurgence once he went out to the team for a little bit. Kevin De Bruyne this season has not, and it's actually shown this season that City don't really need Kevin De Bruyne, which is why I wouldn't be so quick to jump to
I'll call BS on that.
No, because the season where they go 100 points, he's injured for most of the season. This season when they walk the league, this season when they walk the league, he's injured when they go on their
Why not?
crazy
So,
run.
okay,
City,
maybe
if
you know which
should-
it is.
you
Maybe
can't
you
have the
know
best
that Pep,
midfielder in the world and your team works fine when he's not in the team. I don't think so.
because he has a working system, but De Bruyne literally highlight like he's the cream on top of that system. Why does he walk back into the team the moment he comes back from injury? Let me say something. You want to talk about De Bruyne has had a poor season. He's been the victim of an injury which has sidelined him for a while, and now he's coming back. He's trying to find his feet on a team that, like you said, they're doing well without him, right? So he can't just come back and do the exact same things. Number one. Number two, they're playing a different system than what he's traditionally used to. They always have the 9. They're playing without the 9. He's had to a lot of times play false 9, or maybe Foden plays false 9 as well. Different system. He's still showing his class. And why I'm highlighting it now that he's easily the best midfielder in the world. If you watch that game, whether or not they were scoring goals from what he did, he influenced the game on every level. And so you can't sit here and talk about stats and talk about, Kevin De Bruyne has been poor this season. His influence.
Don't make it sound like he's talking about stats. That was not what was happening.
His influence on Man City's game and their style of play will always be the most important. Like
the first thing that you used to argue against the point, I don't agree with. You can't say it's due to injury. I would sit here and tell you Thomas Partey has had a very poor season. It's in part due to injury. Injuries happen, but when he's come, hasn't been that exceptional. And what we know he can provide hasn't provided. Same with De Bruyne. What we know he can provide hasn't provided. That's essentially the point that I'm making.
I don't think poor season is he's not had a poor season. He's had better seasons.
Yeah,
He's had an injury.
Every season he's had a better than
statistically, he still has 16 goal contributions in 24 league games and scored more in the Champions League as well. So if you want to use stats, if you want to use eye test, yes, he's had better seasons, but he's still been fantastic. I mean, not fantastic, but he's still been very good this season when he's played. But in terms of the tie, like obviously City created a lot, but I was very impressed by what I saw from Dortmund. They showed a lot more resilience than I thought that they would. And I read an interesting article by Ralph Honigstein saying Terzic actually studied what Ole had done against City in the last year.
Tweet that.
And I thought that was interesting because I saw like Dortmund played a lot more counter-attacking than I also expected. And they were very direct.
Did he say they studied or it looked like they studied? I thought it seemed like there were
he said parallels. That he looked at what Ole had done, obviously, but he didn't take it like exactly, but he looked at what Ole had done in the last 2 years against Guardiola, because Ole's had quite good results against Guardiola. And I could see I could see some elements from that in terms of like they were actually very direct. But yeah, I was very impressed by what I saw from Dortmund. But City are just a chance creating machine. They just create chances at will, and they're overloading on the flanks. It's just, that's how they score 2 of their goals, and it's just incredible to watch. But I was very impressed by Dortmund, and I don't think the tie is over because
if they held that to 1-1, that would have been very interesting.
I think Dortmund are very much in it, and that Bellingham cancel goal was such a disgrace and a disappointment. I love that for him. But he was.
How does that go to VAR and not get overturned?
He was gutted.
They said it was because it was outside. It was like a foul outside the box or something. So you can't. So if the ref hadn't blown, and he scored or whatever, then you can either review it when he scored or like that kind of thing. But if it's a thing where the ref blows a foul outside the box, so just like a free kick, for instance, if I tackle you in the center circle and the ref blows the foul, you can't go to VAR to like change the foul in the middle of the pitch. If you get what I'm saying. Like
that's the thing. You have to always score in those situations.
Exactly. So the ref should have let him score.
I mean, so you still as the what is it called? As the attacker.
The ref should so the ref shouldn't have blown the whistle, because once he blew the whistle, they couldn't review it, because you can't review free kicks.
You can't review free kicks, or you can't review blowing the whistle before the action.
Think about it. No, so you can't, if like for instance,
because if it's a goal, you can review goals.
Yeah, but it wasn't a goal because he blew the whistle.
But once he blew the whistle, it can't count as a goal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I don't think it's the free kick part. I'm saying if he puts the ball in the net, like somehow very quickly before the ref blows, that stands.
I know, yes. But that's exactly what it is, because he blew the whistle for a free kick before the goal was scored.
Okay.
So just
you guys are saying the same thing. I think what Fahim is saying is just that I don't think it was the free kick part. It was the fact that he blew the whistle.
Yeah.
I know he blew the whistle for a free kick. Oh yeah, so it's the same thing, I guess.
It's not like you can't review a free kick, is what I mean.
I mean, once the whistle is blown, you can't review it in that sense. So that's why a lot of times now when we see the offsides, they just wait for the person to score so they can actually look at it. But once you blow the whistle, too early.
Which was poor.
It's very
because-
interesting when they choose like the whistle versus not the whistle because
Correct.
for Man City, I know the flag is different from the whistle, but you can raise the
Same
flag
concept.
and players can stop and
Yeah.
goal counts, but the whistle is different. And that is back to the Lewis Dunk thing. I think they just need to sort
Again,
out.
shout out to Foden. Remember, we were talking about best number 10. Right? So that guy is special. Phil Foden is a special footballer.
I can agree with
That
that.
guy is incredible. He's an incredible footballer.
His
And that is
intelligence.
finishing his movements. He's like they call him Stopper in Iniesta. Like his movement.
What
his
you
balance.
took from that game was his finishing.
No, I'm saying in general, he's a good finisher. He's got double figures. Like he's a good finisher, consistently a good finisher. Not from that game, but he's a good finisher. His passing is good. His dribbling is good. You can tell his balance, like his low center of gravity, and he's a very good finisher generally. If you look at his numbers, he's a very good finisher generally. I think he's going to be an incredible player for them.
Fantastic. Bayern PSG, Chinedu.
Did we skip one?
No, we only done one.
Yeah. So why didn't we touch on it?
So compared to
Around, please want to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
So also mention like what you predicted before and
Bayern PSG, I think everything changes. I forget what my prediction was. I think I went with
you
Bayern.
went PSG.
Oh, I did go PSG.
Yeah.
Because I changed PSG as well today.
Do you go PSG then or today?
No, he went PSG when we said Lewandowski wasn't around.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay,
cool.
that makes sense. And it was made worse today, actually, or yesterday, with the news that Gnabry was, ruled out because of COVID. So that literally, I remember I was trying to talk about what the team would look like, and we expected Muller to play up top, but people melting starts up top. Get the goal, surprisingly. His movement was very good, but he's no Lewandowski. Bayern had 34 shots today, 34. I think 12 on target. He dominated the game, probably 60% possession or something. But if you want a what's it called, a masterclass on how not to play Paris, that was today. The high line was unnecessary. Dule, whatever you want to call him, he's playing and he's not that quick, and it's just like I don't know what expected from that game, but whatever I expected, he definitely didn't expect to get run over like that by Mbappe and Neymar. But I feel like everybody could have told that's how the game would go. Everybody, any football watching person could have said, if you play a high line against Mbappe and Neymar, you're going to get punished in the end every time.
But
I don't think you need to watch football to come up with that.
He did that in the final though last year. So I think it's more about.
He was lucky in the final. Mbappe.
But you have to. But you have to.
That was also different.
A finishing disaster class in the final.
I think
Mbappe could have. He had a finishing disaster class in the final. He could have.
Yeah, he didn't miss that many chances.
He missed quite a few clean.
From what I remember, I think Bayern, they play how they play, and that's why they dominated the game today.
Correct.
And I predicted even when Lewandowski was out, I predicted Bayern, and I felt vindicated. But I also said obviously there's going to be that threat because I knew PSG were going to go for the counter attack. I tweeted it today. Bayern are different class, but Mbappe and Inshallah on the counter is always going to be a threat, and so that's what the game expected, and that's what we got. So even without Lewandowski, I predicted Bayern because. You can see how they play. There's a way of playing, like how Chinedu said, without KDB, City are a well-oiled machine, like KDB or no KDB. So Lewandowski or no Lewandowski, these guys created a whole lot of chances, and they could have scored a lot more. Forget Lewandowski. Let's say
they could have, bro. That's
even more.
That's what I'm saying. It had nothing to do with Lewandowski.
Exactly. So that's what. But a lot of people even like you guys said before last week. You said if Lewandowski was there, you'd have picked Lewandowski, you'd have picked Bayern to win the.
I said I still picked Bayern.
Yeah. No. So exactly. So I mean Chinedu rather than. So for me, I just thought Bayern were just going to be so the pressure they put on you. They were suffocating PSG, especially just before Mbappe scored, before Marquinhos scored the second goal. They were suffocating PSG, and I was really impressed with their performance. They created so many chances. Sane very, very wasteful. I was impressed with
very poor today.
Sane was so wasteful, so wasteful. And but the tie isn't over. But like you said about the high line, it's easy to. I get it's a risk you have to take if you're going to be brave. If you're going to be brave and you have to play PSG that way, it's a risk you have to take. You just have to be smarter.
Just need better centre backs also. I took two things. They need better centre backs.
Exactly.
And Choupo-Moting was not the problem.
Exactly. So you have to.
Exactly.
They made two subs at the back as well. So when you make two subs in a game at the back, it's also going to cause problems for you. But I think that's how you have to play PSG if you want to suffocate the game. And City will do the same thing in the next round if PSG go through, because you have to take that risk. You just have to be smarter.
What I saw also is if PSG make it through and City make it through,
that's going to be a fun game.
It's not going to be City are going to beat PSG very comfortably. Very comfortably.
I don't think it's comfortable.
Very comfortably. Comfortably.
I was going to say about Bayern.
It might not be, they won't beat, I don't think City are scoring as many goals as we're used to them scoring, so it's probably not going to be a blowout victory, but it'll probably be something like 1-0, 2-0 or something. Or I don't
agree with that.
So yeah,
that high line.
Before you go, can I say, like, look at all since Pep left Barcelona, all his like semi-final exits, quarter-final exits, how have they lost? Breakaway, counter-attacks, literally.
How are City not conceding this season? What type of goal are they specifically not conceding this season?
And we have not. And look at the game yesterday compared to this their 26 and 27 wins run. Look at how they played yesterday compared to that. Dortmund looked very threatening yesterday. Dortmund could have scored at least 2-3 clear goals. Haaland's chance, Rose missed a chance, Bellingham's goal. So I'm not hearing that like City can defend though, but look at John Stones. He looked very ordinary yesterday. Very ordinary yesterday. And so I'm not saying PSG are going to win, but the way Pep has lost, look at Lyon's breakaway goal last year when they beat City. The times Bayern knocked out Pep.
So you think that this is a Champions League specific thing, and it doesn't matter that the team is not that team?
I think it's a Pep weakness that he's trying to address.
And hasn't addressed over the course of this season with this new team.
In the Premier League, he might have, but let's see if he's done in Champions League, because I still saw that yesterday. I still saw those weaknesses yesterday with Haaland.
I think if he wants to stop that, he's traditional. This season at least he's gone with that 4-2-3-1, like double pivot. So I think he could revert back to that if he feels like that threat is going to be there. But if he plays with 4-3-3, I think that those weaknesses are still very much there. But no, I was going to say about the Bayern PSG game. I feel like it all boils down to the same thing. Whether you want to talk about Lewandowski, you want to talk about like backline, whatever. It's the quality of players. Like the system, I'm not faulting. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have gone into play that system, but don't play that system if you know you lack the quality of players. Even when Alphonso Davies came onto the field, they looked much better, much better than when they had their first backline had Pavard, Zule, who was it?
Lucas Hernandez and Alaba.
And for me, it was even like, okay, first of all, Pavard and Zule are playing on the same side. Very minute detail, but like, that's going to be a weak side no matter what you try and do there. And then there was just no balance. There was really no balance for me in that backline. So I feel like it's not a system thing. It's if they want to win the next game, they have to field the right personnel and maybe their system comes through. Because you talked about, they don't miss Lewandowski or whatever. If you have 34 attempts a goal and...
No, they do.
Exactly. Quality.
For me, it was just
none of those chances were chances that I thought, okay, Lewandowski puts that away. So, and also, people miss chances. We saw today that on the breakaway, Mbappe missed chances. Like, the people that you think are better finishers, quote unquote, or better goal getters in general can also miss chances. And I think that volume of chance creation meant that it wasn't a problem about who was there to finish. It wasn't like they were missing clear-cut chances. It was just like the quality of chance wasn't that great.
It's not about the defend, because they could have easily said 2-3 goals today, but if you defend slightly better and slightly smarter, you win that game comfortably. So that's why
that first goal was just poor.
That's why I felt like Bayern would still take it, and because I just felt like I thought they would handle the counter attack better, because like you said, that's exactly what PSG did at Barcelona when they beat them at the Camp Nou. Literally break into the space. So I thought Flick would handle that a bit better, and Bayern would still get their chances and their goals. But they didn't do that well enough. But the tie is still very much on. After what I saw with PSG and Barcelona second leg, the tie is still very much on. If Bayern can get Gnabry back, and I think Lewandowski is still missing anyway. If they can get Gnabry back and defend slightly better, it's still very much.
Yeah, we definitely need to speak about Manuel Neuer on that first goal. Very, very poor. And that's back to what you said, is why I think it's very difficult for me to accept that anyone saying that anyone in PSG attack had a fantastic game. They barely touched the ball. Bayern were camped in PSG half for the entire game. And if that's how the second leg goes, I don't think that PSG didn't even defend that well, but I don't think they'll be able
It was
to
slightly
make it
by
out.
design, though. It was slightly by
Oh yeah,
design.
absolutely,
Exactly.
absolutely,
So I'm sure
absolutely, because that's how you have to play Bayern.
they're
But
waiting to take their
that wasn't
chances.
sustainable. Oh, that shouldn't be sustainable. And it just so happened that the quality
It
of
keeps on
like there were
working for
good
them, though.
chances. Alaba should be putting away that chance that he gets. There are other instances where like, okay, you should score that. They just, I think, were lucky to get away with the win.
That's football.
And
That's football.
if that happens at the Parc de France, it'll be a long 90 minutes.
It will, but traditionally, I think we've seen that PSG, they start off on that front foot and they will try and get that first goal, right? They set up and they will try and get that first goal off the counter, and then they have a bit of a cushion and they probably then sit. They're not the best defenders, but Kimpembe will clear the ball every time he comes into the box. Marquinhos do the same. So get through it.
Marquinhos was a big miss as well.
Yeah, I thought he was supposed to miss the whole game. So
Yeah.
credit to him for coming and scoring and missing the game like he was supposed to from the start.
He said, let me just give you guys something.
Just give you guys a quick cameo. What do we think of Porto Chelsea? Porto actually had lots of good chances, dominated, missed open goals, and somehow Chelsea win the match 2-0. So what did you think, Emeka?
I focused more on the PSG game, but from one of my cousin, the big Chelsea fan, so he had it on like in a small laptop. Well, it's kind of what I predicted in terms of. So I said it's going to be like a boring, like Chelsea. You're not going to see much from them.
No need to watch that match.
They're going to end up. I said they're going to win either 1-0 or 2-0 in both legs, and that's kind of what's going to happen. I don't know what that Tuchel guy is doing, but he's just got them. I know I'm guessing Porto had most of the ball, like he said, but Chelsea don't seem to be conceding too many goals. But again, Mason Mount, their best player, academy product, future Chelsea captain. Another player I love watching play. He just plays with so much personality and energy. When you compare him to Havertz, and another disaster class from Havertz and the German brothers, hooked again. But you see Mount just playing with so much energy and personality and quality as well. It's great to see.
Yeah, I think that last part is very, very important to add because I know the English press love energy and personality with no quality. So thanks for adding that. Chinedu, what did you think about the game?
Yeah, like Emeka said, I think I focused more on the Bayern PSG game, but I think he's spot on the analysis. I absolutely love Mason Mount and I think the energy and every single game, consistent energy, consistent quality as well. And I think he's everything that's coming to him now. Regular first. I think he's one of the, if not the first name on the team sheet now.
And the battle at Real Madrid training ground. What do we think about that? Real Madrid 3, Liverpool 1. Vinicius doing the thing to the world's best right back.
Yeah, I think, based on like last week when we spoke about this, I predicted that Real Madrid would bust the midfield, but I didn't think Toni Kroos would be so good on the day. He was looking like a quarterback at times, just spraying the ball. And I think Vinicius is usually very suspect in finishing, and somehow he got some things right on the day as well. So I think what I expected from that game, I got. I think Liverpool, they are down and they are down bad. Not that bad, obviously.
Down worse.
They're getting some results going their way, but they're down and they're down bad, and they don't know quite where to go. Phillips looked kind of lost in that defense at many times. Kabak made a mistake here and there. And I think Alisson...
Because it worked against us now, it doesn't mean that you should try it against actual football players.
Exactly. And Alisson, just for that mustache cut, that's what he lost.
That was scandalous goalkeeping on the third goal.
Yeah. I really think they are just not... and it goes back to confidence, right? They're not confident. They don't have that Van Dijk, personality to inspire some confidence in them, and they all just look like clowns running around. So I think they definitely deserve to lose that game, Liverpool, and kudos to Madrid. Their midfield forcing the game again. Vinicius really good on the day as well.
Yeah, Emeka, do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Sorry, one more thing. I'm so sorry. One more thing. Kudos to Zidane for Asensio support striker every time. I'm just going to keep on saying that. Asensio is one of my favorite players. I used to watch him all the time when he was much younger. Started on left wing, and now he has more responsibility to bag goals, and he's been bagging goals. So kudos to Zidane Zidane for recognizing that.
From me, so before the tie, I was going back and forth, and Chinedu managed to kind of convince me at the end, but I still just tipped Liverpool because of their goal scoring potential, like I felt. But he mentioned, and he was spot on when he said, like, the midfield, and I underestimated that midfield because I thought Liverpool's, like, so you have the quality of Cruz, Modric, and obviously even still Casemiro, but when you now have like Wijnaldum and Fabinho, so I thought that energy plus Liverpool's goal scoring potential will edge it for them, especially with away goals. But I'm surprised that they gave Cruz, especially, so much time on the ball, so unlike a Liverpool team. And I guess, and something I actually realized, I thought about yesterday was when normally Liverpool press an opposing team's DM, who is the first person that starts it? And it's Firmino, and he wasn't there. And that's a big thing that people, I think, forget, especially because he's not really scoring at the moment. And obviously you have to start Jota. But like they always say, hear Salah say, Mane say, Firmino is the key to their pressing because he starts the press in the middle of the park, either dropping deep for the DM or the CB if the CB is good on the ball. And he wasn't there. And Cruz had so much time on the ball, and the rest of the team was just a bit lethargic. But yeah, credit to that midfield. And I tweeted yesterday, I think it's debatable, man. They might be the best or the second best, top three midfield trios of all time. What they've done in Europe and how they dominated games, even like now in a fairly average Madrid team, that for them to dominate that game, especially the first half of that match, was incredible to see. And I was happy.
I always felt like Casemiro just came from nowhere and was not really who they wanted and wasn't really meant to be a starter, and just somehow became
some things just the way he just fell into place. Like those guys, it's just such a perfect balance. And for them to still be doing it now, Modric is 35, Cruz is 31. I think Casemiro is 29, 30 as well. So credit to them, and Madrid, again, heritage.
Ball heritage, yeah. Every time, come on.
Those guys just believe, no matter what, they just believe, just because they're wearing a Madrid shirt.
Just because they are, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It's crazy. It's crazy how you just said what you said. That was a wild thing. That take about being the best trio.
Yeah, I think it's a great debate. I think it's a great debate.
A few in the same country, they can't even say that.
No, I didn't say best.
I mean, obviously, he said one of the best. I know, yeah, he's trying
that
to
best. Nobody should ever.
No, but I think it's a great debate. So I didn't say best. I said top three. But we can save for another show, because if you actually look at it, or look at the numbers, some people say eye test, some people can say trophies won, some people can say actually dominating Europe and winning 3
longevity,
and still doing it now.
It's a great debate. We should definitely.
It's a great debate. Something we can discuss, because, or you might say, okay, Barca was more breathtaking, and
they like, dominated for a minute,
easy on the eye and everything. But like
there was longevity too.
When you look at, but there wasn't 3 Champions Leagues in a row. It was like
2 and 3 years or something. It was like 2 and 3 years.
They weren't as physically imposing as these guys. 2 and 3 years is different from 3 in a row. And I think Madrid won 4 and 5 or whatever. But they weren't as physically imposing as these guys. And again, now Modric is 35, and in a worse team.
I think it's definitely something that we should
debate. I will still probably pick Barca's top, but I think people are they underrate this Madrid midfield a lot, because I
think it's because we're privileged to be. I mean, we've underrated kind of what even Zidane himself has done, and people can talk beginners luck, whatever. Obviously, he comes in not that experience, but what he's done at Madrid is actually insane. Like trophies wise, dominating Europe like the way they've done, and like you said, Emeka, like this midfield trio has been at the root of it all, right? And so it's easy to just be like, yeah, they're just getting the work done, but they've been here for a while. Cruz, and what's crazy is that along the way, like Cruz has gone on to win he won a World Cup as well, like in recent times. So
Modric Ballon d'Or
to the final. So
but Iniesta and Xavi were second and third, and also won the World Cup. So
and I'm not saying let's do that now. I'm just saying they still have those individual attributes where if you put it all together, I think there's definitely a debate to be had. That's what I'm saying.
No, yeah, I agree, and we should definitely try to have that, I think. And the last, I think any last takes on that game? Where do you think it's kind of gone wrong for Liverpool? It seems like, I mean, you can't really say they put their domestic form back together, because it's Arsenal, and right before that, I think they lost the game before Arsenal. right?
No, they beat Wolves. They beat Wolves.
I mean, sorry, Wolves. But it's Arsenal and really Wolves that we said are not the Wolves of before. So how do you review this season for Liverpool if, which is looking very likely, they crash out of the Champions League and don't make the top four?
So I think on the whole, I think next season they'll obviously there'll be a massive improvements, which is natural because they can't get any worse. But in terms of this season, I think they're just going to.
You think so?
I don't think
if they don't hold on to Salah, they get worse.
No,
I don't think Salah stays. Wijnaldum goes.
I think Salah stays.
I think Salah stays. Mane stays.
I don't think they win the league, but I think they at least
Van Dijk back in the squad.
Top three. But I do think that their window. I think their window has almost closed. And it's the thing about sports. In all sports, every team has that window. And unfortunately for them, even the time they got 98 points, they still didn't win the league. They got to the final of Champions League. And last season was the year was all perfect. But this season has been a very, very big opportunity missed because I think their window is closing. You see Mane, he looks half the player that we know him to be. Firmino looks like half the player we know him to be as well. Even Salah as well. He doesn't look as dynamic and as energetic as normal. He's still an amazing finisher, so he's going to score his goals. Their midfield, like we said, they gave Madrid so much space. They don't have that energy anymore. They don't have that fire anymore. So I think their window.
People laughed at the start of the season and said, "Oh yeah, like it's because they're really good," when they didn't splurge as much as the City on. They've not really taken this rebuild seriously. They thought that the team was just we won. We've been here at the top, so we can just keep going with the same players. City are buying players that don't even play. 50 million on Aki. That's thinking for the future.
Exactly. Yeah.
And planning for a rebuild, even if it doesn't necessarily go into the rebuild. I think they've been very, very, very. The word I think is probably.
It's like lackadaisical. They've just been.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. I think this has been at worst for them in chasing season, like to remind them, the fact that you guys won all this stuff over the past 2 years with the same group of players, like you barely had any like proper subs. Like you didn't have a real squad. You had a very strong starting 11. And you guys kind of escaped injuries. This is the reality of what teams have to face every single time. Every single season, you face those injuries. So now that, Van Dijk's out and Gomez is out and they are complaining, injury here, injury there, in reality, that's what City at some point was facing as well. But they had that strong core.
I think the word is complacent. Yeah.
Exactly.
Imagine going with Nat Phillips and Kabak.
Exactly.
If City lose their top two centre backs this season, who plays?
It's not acceptable. You probably still play. So you
play Laporte and Aki probably.
Laporte.
And even Madrid yesterday. Madrid is a good example. They lost their two, but they still have Militao, who they signed for like 40-45 million, and Nacho, who has won Champions League. So it's to have Nat Phillips as your guy in the Champions League quarterfinal against Madrid.
That's scary.
And I really think Klopp is right now overthinking things because the way he played against I'm thinking back specifically to the Tottenham game at Anfield where they, at least possession-wise, dominated the game. They still played with Fabinho, Henderson at the back. Yes, Henderson is out, but I think having those ball-playing centre-backs, even though they're not specifically a centre-backs, really helps with that possession, which is what they weren't able to do at all in the first half yesterday. Those players can't start the attack. Nat Phillips or Reece Williams or whoever it is you put at the back, they can't start the attack. Henderson can, Fabinho can. That was what Van Dijk was really good at, and that was really what was helpful for Liverpool keeping possession and just tiring you out because their midfield was just workhorses. But when they don't have that and they lose possession easily, they don't really have the defensive stability or strength to really deal with any sort of pressure because they just keep chopping and changing at the back. And I think that is probably what went wrong. And if they play the same lineup at Anfield, there won't be any Anfield factor. They'll lose again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. That's a good point. Just that I think, it's been working having the defensive partnership and Fabinho back in midfield has actually gotten them decent results. I think, like I said, they beat Arsenal, they beat Wolves. I think they won the game before that as well. So I think he just thought that, maybe let's have stability in midfield and, maybe have those guys to press Madrid midfield, which they didn't do. But ironically, Fabinho and Henderson are better defensively than Kabak and Phillips. Fabinho was.
It's such a dilemma because you look and you say Fabinho.
You have to put him in the midfield because
maybe not Kabak, because I know
exactly.
Kabak on the internationals was pretty
Kabak
good, and I watched him a little bit
good.
over the international
Kabak
break.
I don't think he's. I still think he's lacking.
But there's no partnership there.
I think he's good
over time.
But there's no confidence. I mean, I don't think he's ever been on such a stage, and so sometimes it's enough just having done this before. Now you can say, and that's why now even I'm backing PSG more than I have ever, because I feel like some of these players, okay, last season you are kind of weird, but you got to the final, and now you've done this before, so you kind of have an idea of what to do. Kabak, I don't think he's been at such a stage before, so even if he's good ability-wise, I don't think he's going to be able to just inspire the confidence that's needed. And it's like Emeka just said with Fabinho, like, is that dilemma thing? Is that dilemma thing where you really want to play Fabinho as your DM because he's your best DM, but then you also need him at the back. So what do? You can't fit that him into twice. You understand? So you have to literally just
exactly.
Yeah.
And Naby Keita starting as well was a very interesting decision.
Nobody's going to say that Klopp has lost the dressing room and things are unraveling for him. But if this was Jose doing
Mourinho,
the internet will lose its mind.
I agree with that completely. I said that yesterday as well. It was very, very unnecessary to take him off for the first minutes. You might as well, like, I know he's high stakes.
Wait out 5 minutes.
Exactly. I know he's high stakes though, and
Mourinho wouldn't even do that. If something's going wrong, the decision was probably made at like the 20th minute.
Jose subbed like 3 guys in the first half at Chelsea one time, if I remember correctly.
But not 5 minutes, 4 minutes before halftime.
Which one is?
That's to make a statement.
That's to say you can't make it to halftime.
Yeah, like that is not anything about a tactical change or anything. That's just to make a statement.
It was unfair on him because Keita hadn't played any big minutes since, so you now drop him in a quarterfinal and then he struggles, and then you hook him after 41 minutes when you could just have done it at halftime. That was
when he wasn't even the sole cause of it.
Struggle for no cause of his. It was your system.
Yeah, exactly. So that is just one of the things he was a scapegoat, and sadly.
And I've seen him do things like hook Salah, hook Mane, and they've been very pissed. At least
he's overthinking.
At least you watch Mourinho doesn't hook Kane or Son, and I think Klopp is. I don't know what he's doing, but he needs to be very careful before they love Liverpool in the English press, so they won't say he's lost the dressing room, but
I'll tell you what,
the dressing room.
Hot take. Klopp will not be there next season. Steven Gerrard will be.
Why is that a hot take? I said that like 6 months ago.
No, he will be.
I don't know if they will anymore because it seems like they've kind of stymied.
They'll get Champions League though. I still think they'll get Champions League.
TVG will be their manager next season.
It's crazy when you use the lens of a team you want to get there. It's harder for you to see things because every time I'm just like, okay, Spurs is 3 points off, and in front of them is West Ham. But I'm never looking like, like Liverpool actually have the exact same points as them. Everton have a game in hand. Like
an easier fixture list as well.
Exactly. Liverpool's end to the season is actually quite straightforward. And probably might lead to them actually getting, but also it's West Ham's. So that West Ham Leicester game this weekend, which we won't get a chance to really review games this weekend, but we'll definitely, preview games this weekend, but we'll review them when we're back here on Sunday. But that is a very, very huge game because Leicester, if they're not careful, might get stuck back into this. Very quickly, UEFA Europa League predictions. We have the quarterfinal stage, Arsenal, Slavia Prague. Just tell me who you think.
Overall, the tie?
No, just the first leg.
You got to say Arsenal. Although Slavia Prague, they obviously upset Spurs, they upset Rangers, and the
first leg is at home for Arsenal.
They're a good team, but you would expect Arsenal to, because this is their last chance and their last hope. So you expect Arsenal to do the business.
Chinedu.
I'll go Slavia Prague.
Slavia Prague dumped out Leicester, and Leicester a better team than Arsenal. So you never know. This is not a game Arsenal fans should be scared about. Yeah. If you're asked, like, this is Arsenal, a team that has almost 40 major trophies, the pedigree of Arsenal, but just the nature of how they're playing this season, that performance against Liverpool, and the fact that you just never know who's going to turn up for Arsenal makes this one.
Put that with Slavia Prague actually being on form as well.
Exactly. They dumped. Rangers didn't lose a game this season.
Yeah,
so
that game was a fantastic watch.
Zagreb at home to Villarreal.
I'm the Europa League specialist, Unai Emery.
If Unai does this with Villarreal, they have to make a statue of him.
No,
There's
that guy.
going to be Arsenal Villarreal in the semis, which is interesting.
And Villarreal are going to win that match.
Yeah, I watched them a bit in the Europa League, and they just look at home like they watch the games, like they dominate the game. They look like well in control, and yeah, so I go Villarreal as well.
And they have a few. I love it when players that don't quite work at bigger teams or in bigger moves just kind of find their home in a team.
Who's that?
At Villarreal. So I watched them and I'm just like, Emery has built this team somehow and it just seems to be working. Even in La Liga, they're doing decent. Like Paco is one of their players. Capu didn't quite work out at Tottenham. They also have him. Chukwueze. It's not like it didn't work out for him anywhere else, but that's a really fantastic player. Foyth didn't work out at Tottenham. He's making his name out there. So they have good players that just haven't worked out at bigger teams. So their squad is actually pretty good and their team is European level. So I think it will make for a very, very interesting matchup for whoever obviously this one, but whoever they get, because I think they'll get into the semis. And I'm just looking at the rest of it. They have Parejo, they have Moreno, they have Coquelin, Raul Albiol. Raul Albiol was the one in my head that I was trying to remember. So
but it kind of worked out for him at Madrid. Sort of. He won stuff.
Yeah. Things like that. Granada, Manchester United. Granada home for the first leg.
It should be
after United
away with Sociedad so comfortably. I don't think it will be as easy, but I mean, you expect United to win, and if they get knocked out by Granada, it's definitely going to be a crisis. So I think they'll do the job. Hopefully, we get to rotate some players because the Spurs game for me is very important as well. So
for what?
I want to. I really.
Besides sentiment, why is it important for?
I really want that game just to solidify the position and just like completely end it. Because if we beat Spurs, I think that's just completely done.
For what? But,
Champions League, you never know.
Is Leicester, like they lose to West Ham, they're starting to draw themselves.
We won all the points. United
are pretty set. Hey, so just say what's in your mind. That's what I love about Mourinho. He just has a way of making guys just want to beat him at all costs. Like you be like, guys, this is the last game of the season. They've done your guard of honor. You won the league since. Like, nah, it's Mourinho. I need to win that game.
And it's a big game. Like it's a big game. But Granada, hopefully you rest some players. But over 2 legs, definitely, shouldn't be an issue.
Should they do?
Yeah, so whether they want to be at home away, that's their business. United.
There's always times like this that
record that.
that's the snippet we're using. And then the last one, Ajax Roma, which is in terms of European heavyweights, a pretty big game. What do we think? Ajax at home for the first leg.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Roma. If we say first leg, maybe a tie Ajax win or a draw. I'm going to go Roma overall. I watch a lot more of them, and they play in a tougher competition, as you'd expect. As you think, actually, Ajax play better football, but Roma actually play very good football under Fonseca, and they play with their 5 at the back system, and likes of Pellegrini, Dzeko, and the likes. Like they actually play decent football, Mkhitaryan. So I'm going to go with them overall, just based on the fact that they play in a higher competition, plus they play away from home first, which I always prefer.
Yeah, I'm good to go the other way, mainly because I don't watch some after Roma, but I've seen Ajax in recent times, and even when they dispatched their last opponent in the last round. So I'm good to go Ajax. I think they're playing good football, and they somehow always just find a way to replace the people that are lost. I think at first they were struggling to replace the last couple of players that came through. Now Gravenberch is doing well.
Haller is doing the business right now.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Yeah.
I say Haller.
I mean, I've been saying it. Haller is very technical. I remember saying it on this podcast.
I said he's not a Premier League player. I didn't say he's not good. I said he's not a Premier
League. Saying on this podcast that technically he's better than Antonio. I don't know why it's not working for him.
I was going to say there's probably only 2 people that are not technically better than Antonio.
Exactly. Everybody knows that. effectiveness, do you think are they challenging for top 4 with that slow ass Ale in the Premier League?
I mean, they did for a bit before. Antonio has been injured for most of the season.
Ale someone that was scoring like 5 goals in 40 or something.
5
but 3 exactly, but 3 bicycle kicks.
And I really need to see Eric Ten Hag with a big budget. I just feel like I need to see it.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
I feel like he's done his work, and we know what he's about here, and I just need to see a big move for him, somewhere where he can have the backing to really do something. Anywhere but Spurs. I mean, Spurs is not the team that's
going to be a great fit.
He's not going to have the financial backing.
Yeah, but but I don't think. So I think that would be a great fit in terms of projects, in terms of personnel.
Arsenal would be a good fit in terms of project personnel.
They won't catch out.
I think both be good.
Because Spurs don't have money. Someone like City is backing, United is backing. Arsenal are starting to look like, I mean, with places that they're linked with and spending on Partey, looks like there's a little bit of backing. Like those types of teams that spend money.
Baiting you, bro.
Huh?
Partey is bait. Partey is make you think.
I mean, that's what they do all the time. Yeah, that's their normal number. But otherwise, any other thoughts on anything that we've seen?
No,
not for me.
Just Inter Milan. Another prediction we had. So Inter Milan.
Yeah, I remember saying that the day they crashed out, that Conte's bread and butter, if you allow him to focus, he's going to win the league. I have to find the tweet of the person that said that. I don't know if they put some emoji or they were like, what? They don't know what I'm talking about. And I think they said they'll pay me. So let me just go and collect my bar because I knew
crash out, bro.
Conte's bread and butter. Don't play with that. Whether the players are 35, 37, just give him the league to focus on.
I'm happy. You talked about players not making it like in bigger clubs or whatever.
Exactly.
Lukaku, I'm so gassed for him. I've said it before. I wasn't super excited when we sold him. I could see why we sold him, but I was super excited. And I'm just happy.
Do you still see it today?
See why we sold him?
Yeah.
A lot of people have the same take. Selling him was not the issue. The problem was not replacing him. So selling him, I can understand why he.
I mean, that's always the issue. If you don't have a plan to sell someone, to replace someone, you don't sell.
Yeah, no. I'm saying they tried to replace him in-house. Like they did the whole AM9, Rashford,
Ice cold.
I'm saying someone.
I remember guys were arguing with me about that guy last season because he scored 17 goals or whatever.
AM9 can be that guy. See, I'll be honest with you. AM9 can't be that guy. He can't be that guy.
Why don't you want to call his government name? Are you scared?
Scared, bro, because I don't know. This French guy. No, he can't be that guy. I just don't think he can be that guy week in, week out. But for instance, if we had sold Lukaku and brought in someone in the shape of Haaland, like I think tried to.
But that was how many years ago?
Not at the time, but we tried to last year. Like we tried to bring Haaland as well. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm saying if we brought in someone that is just natural, out and out 9.
But if we wanted that, then why sell Lukaku?
There was no reason to sell Lukaku. Is the point I'm
There was no reason to sell him when we sold him. I agree.
Even to today, like Lukaku was based on his team today. Lukaku works in this team today.
Vindicated because I was one of the few people I remember on Twitter. I used to get so much slack, like for like I was always backing Lukaku. Like yes, I know first touch, all that, but I know second for him didn't work out as well. But I do think overall it was good for him. I'm happy he did move to Syria. I think it fits him very well. Working with Conte fits him very well. In the particular team now, I feel Ole wants a bit different. I don't know if he wants a pure striker. The Cavani thing I think was just a bit of a stopgap. But ultimately, like if you're going to sell him to look for a Haaland, like why sell him? Like
that's exactly.
I think Ole would rather play with, especially I'm thinking of Bruno in this system. Bruno and Pogba as like Pogba being the deep line playmaker, Bruno those balls over the top. It doesn't always have to be like running behind from Rashford. It could also be over the top for a striker making him run behind.
Lukaku is very good at that.
That's my point. I'm saying that
he doesn't want he's said like he wants guys that are very interchangeable. So he wanted that.
Lukaku had that too. To be fair, so I don't.
He's not. I mean. He can play from the right and cut in, but like he's not like a Firmino or
he's not fluid enough to start on the left or something.
So Martial can go left, Rashford go center, Greenwood can go center. Martial goes center. Doesn't want that focal point, but I don't know, like it seems that's coming back in vogue now. So
Yeah, I'm happy it's worked out for him. And at the end of the day, for me, sometimes we needed him to bag goals. He was bagging goals anyway. So honestly, the sale was not justified at the time. I don't know if football Twitter influenced.
It's still not justified.
Yeah, I don't know if football Twitter influences in any way talking about, his poor first touch. He definitely worked on his game while he's been at Inter.
Yeah,
So,
Ole's burner is on football Twitter. I'm just reading all this tweets. I have to get this guy out of here. But perfect. So once again, whether you're analyzing the game, giving your takes on social media, talking to your friends, just make sure that you ask yourself one very, very important question. Chinedu.
I really know, bro.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Really know.
Peace.